Hey everyone, it's Ivan, kitbadger.com, out here for another gear review, and today we're talking tripods. This guy right here, carbon fiber tripod by Ultradyne. Broad strokes, what is it? It is exactly what it sounds like. It is a carbon fiber tripod for shooting. I guess you could put a camera on here, but it's a lot bigger than anything I would use for a camera. And so we'll go over all the different components, but for starters, the legs are in 4 sections, and you can, if you want, this one right here says removable monopod. You can basically unthread that and take it away from the tripod itself. I have never, nor will I probably ever do that. For whatever reason it's on there, it's probably as an afterthought, like pretty much every tripod you buy today, to include my camera tripod that is on, has that same feature. I have yet to ever use it. But this thing, I'm on a hill, so I'll try not to fall off. Also, it's kind of hard to, well, there we go. That's how high it is. Does it get higher? It absolutely does. I'll show you that in a second. And you can also, there's basically 3 settings. That right there being the middle setting on here, and then the highest setting basically comes up almost flat, which allows you to actually put this whole thing down flat on the ground if you're shooting prone, which I absolutely have done, mainly for zeroing or shooting groups. Otherwise, you have that adjustment there, which works out well if you're on the side of a hill, or of course if you're in flat terrain, that last click there, and now, yeah, not good for a hillside. I'll go over kind of some of the features going on in this. One thing I will say that they have on this, which usually you see in like camera tripods, to include the one I'm filming on, is there'll be basically a center pole that comes down, which this actually comes with. Again, carbon fiber, and it threads up into the bottom here. So what it allows you is to undo this, loosen it, and you can adjust the height. And again, it threads in there, so you can keep moving this up. Personally, I don't find that very useful. In part, if you just like raise this piece up higher and higher away from this is way more stable than something sticking up on a post. So with respect to stability, way better, personal preference, or in my experience as well. And the other thing that honestly is the main reason I just took that thing off and don't use it is, as I mentioned earlier, if I want to unlock these and put them out flat so I can shoot basically flat in the prone on the ground, you can't do that with that piece. You'd have to remove it, which is why consequently I removed it. Which brings us to this ball head, which is actually mounted in here. They have, I guess we'll speak to this guy too in a second. Loosen that up. I actually really like this ball head. I believe it's called their Orbit Ballhead. And up top here, we have this mounts basically straight onto Arca. Unlike if you think about tripods that go on top of, well, camera tripods basically, there's usually notches so that when your camera sits in there, it keeps it from moving forward. Obviously this does not have that. So you can basically really quickly and easily adjust your rifle if you have a long section of Arca on it, clamps down with that. But I do like this ball head in that this piece here, really easy to adjust, to include. You can kind of get it to where it's kind of tight, but you can still move it, but it'll stay in place. And then when you want it, you can crank this thing down. You can use it either direction. I want to say it's usually, I forget how they use it. They're like, you're doing it backwards. I'm like, I don't care. I like it that way. And that you can basically have it back towards you, and you adjust this essentially with your thumb, or you can of course have your rifle in here and you can reach forward and adjust it. Again, thumb, finger, whatever, doesn't matter. Really personal preference at that point. The newest one essentially has I don't know, some sort of metal or something here. Not sure the purpose, but like I said, I've actually really enjoy this ball head. It works really well. This ball mount is also really nice in that it actually gives you a huge range as far as if you are going to set up to actually shoot at a pretty steep angle or up a steep angle, it will do that, versus some different mounts I've used where it's basically a bowl and you're adjusting the bowl. You can't usually decline or incline the gun as much. And then of course, right here we have our ARCA, and this is our gun grasp vise, I want to say. Basically, it is a gun vise that goes, I guess show you, on the bottom here is this section of ARCA built into it. So you can put it right on top. Go ahead and clamp that in there. And now we have a universal gun vise. This is really handy because sometimes, honestly, I'll have guns that I either one, just don't have ARCA, or well, lots of times I will use a ARCA section. You can just put on M-lock. Maybe I don't have that, or sometimes I'll throw like an old wood stocked gun in here and be able to throw it in there and then just use this and clamp it right on there. Really, really handy having that as an option. Which brings me to, honestly, one of my favorite things with this tripod is mounting optics. Recently, I was actually out in the desert. Right before I was headed over to Thunder Ranch, I was going to do some shooting, needed to get a optic zeroed, or not zeroed, but actually mounted. And so with that, it needs to be level. Having this, so handy. I was using or mounting a optic onto my Scar 20S in 6.5 Creedmoor, and this made it so much easier. Being able to, while I do have a piece of ARCA for that M-lock, didn't have it with me, so I could just throw the gun in here, clamp this vise down, and then using this Orbit Ballhead, get everything perfectly level as far as the actual gun itself, the optic on the gun, as well as the bubble level on the rings, line up all of those things, and then crank everything down, get everything torqued to spec. And this makes life so much easier when mounting optics versus trying to do it like on a bench with maybe the gun has a bipod on it or something, or yeah, trying to put it in a gun vise or something along those lines. This honestly simplifies that entire process so much. Another one of my favorite uses is zeroing. And depending on the gun, if I don't have ARCA, really easy to throw this clamp on there and just get it rock steady for the sake of zeroing. And something that comes with zeroing is even just bore sighting. So being able to throw up a gun, whichever one, or for that matter, even just the upper receiver, look down the barrel at the target, sit there, dial your optic to where it's lined up exactly where the barrel is pointed. Perfect. And the other thing that's so nice with this too, if you've ever tried zeroing a like offset 45 dot, it's terrible. Like, it is not fun. But being able to throw a gun in here, get it offset to that angle to where you can actually really solid, steady position, consistent position, and get a good zero. Yeah, definitely a time saver and money saver with respect to just sending rounds downrange. But what about shooting with it? Yes, it is a shooting tripod. I've shot it a lot. This right here is my 6.5 Creedmoor fix by Q. Down here, full length ARCA rail from Dependabuilt, my buddy over at Sawtooth Rifles. And basically throw this guy on here, tighten on the clamp over on this side. And once you're there, you can adjust this ball head. And because this has a continuous rail, you can loosen up the clamp and you can basically run this kind of to wherever you want it, clamp it back down very easily. And I do like this ball head. One, you can open up and move it a lot if you need to make like gross movements, but then you can kind of fine tune it, again, usually with your thumb, and you can get it to where you can basically pan really smooth with it. And then when you finally get to where you don't want to move anymore, again, just movement with your thumb, push on that, super solid. Really, really nice to be able to shoot off of. And yeah, I guess we'll speak to kind of how I've used this thing. I've been using this tripod setup for probably years at this point. I really like it. One, I do like that Orbit Ballhead, like the adjustments, really nice and easy, the way you can do that. And it is really solid. Some tripods, they'll have flex to them. This one, in my experience, has been really solid, like once you adjust the legs, all of that stuff. And it does an amazing job for letting you take shots you otherwise wouldn't be able to take. And this either in the realm of like just precision rifle shooting or with respect to hunting. And so I guess speak to precision rifle shooting. I've actually used this a bunch. One, just kind of training as far as going out to the range, shooting off of it, which is fun. And I've also competed with it in some different competitions. It does great. Like, it does everything I ask it to do. One thing I will say is it is not the most lightweight tripod. I think just over 4 pounds, like just the tripod by itself, and collapses down to around 22 inches or something long, but totally worth it. To include hiking it out to wherever you may be hunting, or for that matter, even just on stages if you're gonna go compete with it. It has done a great job for me there. And when it comes to hunting, I've definitely used this thing. Again, allows you to take shots you otherwise would not be able to take. By way of example, I was hunting down in southern Idaho with Joker's Wild Outdoors, amazing guide service, incredible property down there, and yeah, was able to hunt off of this to where I could, one, set up in a position where there's no amount of bipod to where you would be able to shoot, like can't go prone, and the distances with respect to my skill and ability well beyond what I would feel comfortably, like ethically taking a shot, as far as just looping into a sling, sitting position, whatever it may be. And as a consequence, had this thing out there, saw this beautiful buck come across, and was able to make one good shot at, I think, I don't know, like 420 yards or something like that. And yeah, so stoked. Never would have been able to take that shot without a solid tripod. And the other part of that with respect to hunting, depending on how you hunt, is usually you spend a lot of time hanging out. A lot more time in binos than you do like in glass on a gun generally. But if you're going to be set up somewhere, like maybe looking down over this big draw or something, the idea of sitting there with your rifle, holding it for extended periods of time, never mind the stability that the tripod will lend you, but just you will fatigue out, or something finally comes and now you have all this extra movement because you're going to shoulder it, because you're not going to sit with this thing shouldered for hours at a time, versus being able to sit here with this and we'll say, cool, like that's where I expect game to be. I can sit here, get this thing adjusted, be like, all right, that's probably where they're going to be coming, and just sit and hang out. And when I see something, lean right onto the gun, confirm it, make whatever little adjustments I need to make, and break my shot. Really, really cool. Well, you can purchase this tripod by itself, like individual parts, i.e. the tripod, this ball head, this gun vise. You can also get them in a package, which probably going to end up saving money if you go about it that route, depending on what you want to do. But I have been very pleased. I've used this thing, again, pretty sure years at this point, and continues to do a good job. So much great stuff with a good tripod, from just zeroing guns, leveling optics, not to mention shooting and especially hunting. Just lets you make really solid ethical shots at distances and terrain situations you probably otherwise would not be able to shoot in. But been really pleased. If you're interested, there'll be links down below. You can go check it all out. And as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.